Good afternoon. Uh, Appreciate everyone uh, following us as we read through Proverbs during the month of September. Today's September the 7th, so we will be reading chapter 7 of Proverbs. Uh, Thank you in advance for sharing, commenting. Thank you. Thank you for the comments. Even if you're just listing verses that stand out to you, the feedback is valuable because it lets me know that at least we're reaching some, and there are some that are interacting with the Book of Proverbs as we read through it. So I really, really appreciate your feedback, your comments, as well as tagging and inviting others and sharing. I really appreciate it. So I don't take that for granted. I know everyone is busy. We all have busy lives. And so there's much to do. But taking the time to just go through a chapter a day is worth it. And when we gain wisdom or add to our wisdom, it changes and transforms our lives. As we read chapter 7, I just want to preference it with just some insight. Remember, we're talking about Solomon, and Solomon's main downfall was his giving in to temptation when in regards to women. Uh, I spoke with someone regarding the previous chapter I read, and they said I had to look up. You're telling me Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines? I said yes, and they said I had to look that up, and I was like, wow. And so that was a major, major downfall for Solomon, who had been granted so much wisdom. So as we read these chapters, and we'll be transitioning from this common thread of beware of the promiscuous woman here in another chapter. So, but I want us to kind of really pay attention because what Solomon is doing and what Proverbs is doing is echoing from his experience. Um, what we should watch and what he faced and what he failed to, and he's sharing. And remember this, and I'll start reading chapter 7. That not only did Solomon experience this, but Solomon was the child of an adulterous relationship. David and Bathsheba, and David who slept with Solomon's mom and had Bathsheba's husband killed so that he could hide the fact that he impregnated someone else's wife. So this is David's father and David's mother, and he's a product of that. So he's got this whole present situation going on as well as where he came from. And so he's sharing, I believe, from a place of learning lessons, but also from a place of history. So let's read chapter 7 together. Follow my advice, my son. Always treasure my commands. Obey my commands and live. Guard my instructions as you guard your own eyes. Tie them on your fingers as a reminder. Write them deep within your heart. Love wisdom like a sister. Make her insight a beloved member of your family. Let them protect you from an affair with an immoral woman, from listening to the flattery of a promiscuous woman. While I was at the window of my house looking through the curtain, I saw some naive young man, and one in particular who lacked common sense. He was crossing the street near the house of the immoral woman, strolling down the path by her house. It was at twilight in the evening, as deep darkness fell. The woman approached him, seductively dressed and sly of heart. She was the brash, rebellious type, never content to stay at home. She is often in the streets and markets, soliciting at every corner. You don't have to do that now. You can just do it on Instagram. She threw her arms around him and kissed him, and with a brazen look, she said, I've just made my peace offerings and fulfilled my vows. You're the one I was looking for. I came out to find you, and here you are. My bed is spread with beautiful blankets, with colored sheets of Egyptian linen. I perfume my bed with myrrh and aloes and cinnamon. Come, let us drink our fill of love until the morning. Let's enjoy each other's caresses. For my husband is not home. He's away on a long trip. He has taken a wallet full of money with him and won't return until later this month. We would say like he took his passport or something. So she seduced him with her pretty speech and enticed him with her flattery. He followed her at once, no hesitation. Like an ox going to the slaughter, he was like a stag caught in a trap, awaiting the arrow that would pierce his heart. He was like a bird flying into a snare, little knowing it would cost him his life. So listen to me, my sons, and pay attention to my words. Don't let your heart stray away toward her. Don't wander down her wayward paths, for she has been the ruin of many. Many men have been her victims. Her house is the road to the grave, and her bedroom is the den of death. What a strong, strong warning coming from Proverbs chapter 7, to beware of giving in. And, everyone doesn't face the same temptation. So when I read chapter 7, I like to kind of put it in a broader sense that beware of temptation and beware of going down the path and yielding to temptation that can impact your entire life. Sometimes we think, we can just get by with things, but sin and decisions bear consequences. And although God is merciful, although God loves us, and he's gracious toward us, we can make some decisions, be forgiven for our decisions, but still have to bear the consequences of those decisions. That's what Solomon is telling his son, or those that would listen and hear the proverb. He said, listen, don't make the wrong decision because it could cost you your very life. Don't give in to temptation that'll take you down the wrong path. Here are some verses that stand out to me. Verse 7, I saw some naive young men, they naive, and one in particular who lacked common sense. So not only was he naive, he lacked the ability to listen to just what made common sense. No revelation needed, no insight needed. He lacked common sense. We've talked about this before in some of the other chapters. You got to let God use your common sense. You got to use your common sense. You got to have the discipline enough to hear, your common sense. There are so many people being tricked into selling their homes or taking out their life savings, sending it to somebody in another country through some, felonious cause, some con person. You've got to use your common sense. God gave you common sense for a reason. You've got to use your common sense. Here's another one. Of course, verse 8, he was crossing near the street near a house of an immoral a woman strolling down the path. We reference path so many times in these chapters, by her house. Sometimes there are some paths that you don't need to take. It might be a shortcut. You need to go the long way, and you need to avoid being on certain paths. Okay, verse 21. She seduced him with her pretty speech and enticed him with her flattery. You have to be careful between what someone says as a compliment and what is flattery. Flattery is used as a manipulative tool, to manipulate you, to do something, to persuade you. A compliment is a compliment, but flattery is an extra, and there's a motive behind flattery. So you have to be careful that you're not being manipulated, that someone is not flattering you. It's okay to get a compliment, but you got to discern the difference. Why is this person saying what they're saying? In chapter 7, she seduced him with her pretty speech and enticed him with her flattery. And then the next verse says he followed her at once. So whatever she said, how she presented herself, and those flattery words she used, trapped him, got him to fall right for the trap, and changed his life. So lot to glean from chapter 7. Please leave your comment. What do you see? What stands out to you? How do we avoid temptation? Well, one is to stay from that path. Another is to use common sense. Another is not to just listen to someone who just using flattery words to manipulate us. It's a lot to glean from. Doesn't have to be for sin with someone that's not married. It doesn't have to be sin with someone, sleeping with somebody that's married. It could be all kinds of things that come after your attention to cause you to make a wrong decision. I appreciate chapter 7. I appreciate the wisdom in Proverbs chapter 7. May we take it to heart. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. We will do chapter 8. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day.